This isn't a bad outfit. But bow ties? Bow ties are cool. In the days before the multiplex, movie theaters were just that, a theater, often with one, if they were lucky, two screens. This led to the double feature, where there would be an A movie, usually with a large budget and a bunch of named stars, which would be prominently displayed on the marquee to get butts into seats. Once they're there, of course, for a small extra cost, they get to see two films, the second one being the so-called B movie. These films usually were, not to put too fine a point on it, cheap. Cheap sets, cheap actors, and bad writing. And today we're looking at what is considered one of the kings of the bad B movie. Ladies, gentlemen, and invading aliens, Robot Monster. Our story opens with Johnny, who is on a picnic with his family near Bronson Canyons. He's there with his widowed mother, Martha, his older sister, Alice, and his little sister, Carla. Johnny is a huge fan of science fiction, running around the area in a space suit and zapping invading aliens. Much more interested in defending the planet than playing house with his little sister, Carla. As they explore, they encounter a pair of archaeologists.
We are archaeologists, boy. People who tried to find out what men were like way back before they could read or write. The only way to pass on what they knew was through pictures like this one.
You see, our job is to chip it out carefully and take it to a museum so people can study it.
Gee, are you scientists?
It's even better than being cowboys, huh, Professor?
Later on, he goes back to the cave to write his name on the wall with paint, presumably as a way of surviving through the ages himself, when he trips and falls, and suddenly, everything changes. The older professor is now Johnny's father, and his assistant is working with the family, and they're the only survivors of an alien invasion. Who has invaded Earth and destroyed all but these few people? The dark, the mysterious, the ultra-powerful Ro-Man. Yes, this is the Ro-Man, an emissary of a race so powerful they only needed to send one emissary to destroy the entire planet. The immensely deadly and terrifying force that... Stop laughing! Having presumably finished his morning ritual of picking fleas out of his hair, Ro-Man contacts his superior back on the Ro-Man planet.
Extension Roman, XG2, reporting to guidance Roman. I salute you. You are late, 14 minutes. Gravitational pull is stronger than reported. 0.7652 higher than our planet. Accepted. Report. May I ask first for other news? Granted. No life has been discovered on any other planets. Earth is our only rival. Was great guidance. The human knew about atomic energy, but had not mastered the cosmic ray. Wherever I directed the calcinator beam, they crumbled. At first, the fools thought it came from one among their many nations, and began destroying each other with hydrogen bombs. I announced myself to keep them from wiping out cities, which will give our people much amusement. Too late they planned it against me. Their resistance pattern showed some intelligence, but all are gone now. The way is clear for our people. I want facts, not words. Fact A. Life pulse has been reduced to +00. Reject. Fair off. Error. But great guidance, I approved it. My energizer has scan checked by square feet. No life above Lepidoptera level exists. I My computator is more accurate. In the 22nd category, there is an error of 16 billionths. The Great One is never wrong. And there are perhaps 8 people left on Earth. Not perhaps, precisely.
Now, quite obviously, these 2 survivors are Johnny's family, but also 2 other astronauts who are preparing to launch one of the few remaining rockets to an orbiting space platform where presumably they can mount a defense against the Roman invasion. Since Roman is now aware of this and deliberately gloats over the view screen to the survivors about this, they try desperately to contact them, but since their transmitter is damaged, they are too late, and Alice and Roy, the archaeologist's assistant, are unable to contact them before Roman strikes with deadly and furry force.
That atomizes rocket ship. Space platform. Human 7 and 8, all. And now, of the 2 billion, there are 6. Calculate your chances. Negative. Negative. Negative.
Now these 6 are the last remaining humans on this planet, and they contact Roman to beg for their lives and say that perhaps there might be a way for them to coexist with the invading Roman, or at the very least to earn an honorable death.
My wife Martha, my companion for 23 years. Is there anything to fear from this woman?
The human woman is the bringer of human life. There must be an end to your race.
Or my children? Alice,
No. I have a mission to perform.
Carla,
I am built to have no emotions.
and Johnny.
The boy is impertinent.
Or is it in the ethical code of your people? Their children must be murdered.
You are not like my people. You are savage barbarians, non-Roman, animals.
Take my assistant, Roy, who has developed a serum with me, which would have wiped all disease among my people.
Wait. There is something I do not understand quite, but I want to see the girl Alice again.
We want peace, Roman, but peace with honor.
I will talk with the girl. It is not in the plan, but although I cannot verify it, I feel that she will understand.
Yes, I'm certain she makes you feel all good in whatever you've got in there. The professor refuses to let Alice go, so Johnny goes, against instructions, on his own, thus providing us with more clunky exposition. Yay!
What are you doing here, boy?
My sister isn't coming.
So they sent you?
I came by myself. I wanted to find out what you had against me.
You are human. Your people were getting too intelligent. We could not wait until you were strong enough to attack us. We had to attack you first.
I think you're just a big bully, picking on people smaller than you are.
Now I will kill you.
You look like a pooped-out pinwheel.
So, the calcinated death ray really cannot harm you. Your father must be a brilliant scientist.
He's got a super serum that keeps people from ever getting sick.
How do you know it works?
Because he tried it on me and Carla and Alice and Roy and everybody. And we don't get sick even when we swallow capsules with real bad bugs in them.
And the 2 men who took off on the rocket ship, they also had this injection?
Sure, they...
You have told me all I need to know. I will calculate the spectrum dust in the calcinated death ray to counteract this antibiotic, and you will all be destroyed.
Heading out on her own, Carla is caught by Roman, and since the calcinator death ray doesn't work on these specially prepared humans, he decides to get rid of her in the most convenient way, by strangling her.
Great guidance. I have a favorable report. I have already eliminated one of them. Force was necessary. It was a simple matter of strangulation. That leaves 4. Error again. 5. 4 and 1 more, on whom I have made an estimate in relation to our strategic reserve. The plan should include 1 living human for reference in case of unforeseen contingency. Do you question the plan? Oh, great one. I only postulate. Proceed on schedule. Destroy the others. All of them.
But he still has his obsession with Alice. Now, during the course of the film, Alice and Roy have been sniping at each other, especially when they were attempting to repair the transmitter to warn the astronauts heading for the space platform. And of course, that means love. So they decide, despite the fact there's the few remaining people left on the planet, to get married. And there's an exceedingly goofy scene where Professor gives this long-winded and bizarre speech about how mankind will always survive as long as there's love, despite the fact that even if this wasn't effectively the end of the species, inbreeding would take place pretty darn quickly. Be that as it may, Roman is the ultimate cockblocker, and while Alice and Roy are on a honeymoon, aka a walk around the area, he attacks them, kills Roy, and kidnaps Alice.
Here, you great guidance. Earth Roman, you violate the law of plan. Fact, you have captured the girl and not destroyed her. Fact, you have delayed accepting the surrender of the others. This verges on failure. There is one thing you do not understand, great guidance. You reject the plan. I wish to make an estimate of my own. To think for yourself is to be like the human. Yes, to be like the human. To laugh, feel, want. Why are these things not in the plan? You are an extension of the Roman, and a Roman you will remain. Now I set you into motion. 1. Destroy the girl. 2. Destroy the family. Fail, and I will destroy you. I cannot, yet I must. How do you calculate that? At what point on the graph do must and cannot meet? Yet I must, what I cannot.
The Great Guidance, however, is having none of this, and when Roman sets out to kill Johnny, the parents sneak in and free Alice. That's the last straw.
The girl first, then the boy. Now, great guidance, I cannot kill the girl, but I will kill the boy. Alice, do not hate me. I must.
Now the Great Guidance carries out the plan at last. Fire, earthquakes, floods, stock footage from the original 1 million BC of baby alligators with fins on them wrestling. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Take it easy, son. You're all right.
How is he?
He's all right. We just want to make sure you get up with everything you fell down with. Hey, I found him. Oh, it's quite a bump there, boy. What happened? Huh?
Darling, you all right?
You gave your mother quite a scare.
Yes.
Here it was getting dark and no Johnny.
You're alive? Hurt too? Boy, was that a dream or was it?
Well, I must try to repay you for all the trouble you've gone to. Won't you and your assistant join us for dinner? Do.
Done.
Will you play house with me when we get home? Well, oh, all right. But I've got to keep an eye out for romance.
Really, Johnny? You're overdoing this spaceman act. There simply aren't any such things. Come on, then. Let's try.
So it was all a dream. Johnny's love of science fiction caused him to have this bizarre hallucination when he fell and hurt himself, and everything is perfectly fine. His mother is safe, his sisters are safe, and the professor and Roy are possibly going to become a little bit closer to the family as a consequence. Everything is perfectly fine. Or is it? So that was Robot Monster. How was it? Wasted potential. Believe it or not, there is some potential buried underneath this mess. One of them is the idea that since it's all a dream, everything we see is shaped by the mind of Johnny. His desire for a father, presumably his mother has been widowed, is played by the role of the professor, a important, smart man that Johnny admires. He's probably seen a few romances, thus casting Roy and Alice together. And the idea that he's essentially the hero is also played out because he plays an instrumental role in foiling many of Roman's plans. Even the Roman actually shows some interesting ideas behind it. This is a race of machines, or given his feelings towards Alice, quite possibly cyborgs. And they are deciding to conquer Earth because they're the only species that's intelligent enough to actually one day oppose them. A perfectly logical plan, eliminate the threat. But Roman's development of emotions threatens the plan and changes all the circumstances related to the plan. This film was done cheaply and in a great hurry, and quite frankly you can tell. The sets consist of a few ruins and almost everything is outdoors. And the dialogue is badly written and delivered by people who are probably either not very accomplished actors or were simply hired because they were convenient. Johnny is supremely annoying, and Carla is the kind of little girl you always wanted to see killed in movies anyway. It was a little odd that the first person that is killed on screen that we see is Johnny's little sister, and it's all in his head. But I know what you really want me to talk about. The Roman costume. The cheapness of the film extends pretty obviously, especially to the costume. As a matter of fact, it was essentially done almost for free. You see, the filmmaker knew a gentleman named George Barrows, who had his own gorilla suit, and even performed in a few films within that suit, and got him to work for essentially free. They just modified two slightly different helmets for the Roman and the Great Guidance, and Barrows played both. Though I'm not certain if it actually is his voice that they used. If it is, he was actually a fairly decent actor, even with the clunky dialogue he was given. And strictly speaking, if they actually been able to afford a proper robot, the character might have been a little bit different. Instead of audiences laughing exclusively on screen whenever he's there. Although, given the general style of robots at the time, it probably might not have been much of an improvement. So for minimalist sets, clunky dialogue, really bad acting, and of course that ridiculous Roman suit, I'm going to give this 1/2 Maple Leaf out of 5. Its only saving grace is the fact that it has some minor potential, and the fact that the appearance of the Roman at least makes the movie memorable. I'm some Canadian critic, and we'll see you all next time.
To be like the human. To laugh, feel, want. Why are these things not in the plan?